Thank you for tuning in to the Terry radio show. Let me start that over again. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to the Terry radio show and podcast, which is which is on right now if you're listening on 105.7 FM Freeport. Also, you can catch, if you missed the show, you can catch snippets of the show on my YouTube channel, the Terry Podcast. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in, okay? Thank you. I like that jam. That's by K-Soul, good friend of mine. He kind of took me back. I came on like, hey, thank you guys for tuning in. I thought I was on the Quiet Storm or something. Also, before we start the show, we got to give a shout out, RIP to George Foreman. He was the man behind the Rumble in the Jungle with Muhammad Ali. He was a heavyweight champion. He was known as one of the hardest hitting men in boxing. Also, he was the face of the George Foreman grill, which many of us, found ourselves cooking with for fast meals. You know, we could go do the George long before the air fryer. To these young people, it was George Foreman. Rest in peace to George Foreman, and condolences to his family. I always say this before a show. It's so much that comes with these shows, just the energy of what we're dealing with. I want to talk about hazing. The title of the show is called, Is Hazing Really Necessary? Because we just lost another young man, Southern University. And it's sad. His name is Caleb Wilson. And as reported, 2 more arrests have been made in his death. And this happened at Southern University. He was a 20-year-old student. He was in the band. And this was an off-campus fraternity hazing ritual. Kyle Turner and Isaiah Smith. Kyle Turner, who's 25 years old. Isaiah Smith, who is 28, have been arrested and face charges of felony criminal hazing for their role in the death of Caleb Wilson. He was a mechanical engineer who died late Friday. Let me say this. Let me just say this first. Caleb McCrae, 23 years old, he faces charges because he was one of the ones, he punched him, Wilson, 4 times before the players collapsed and became unresponsive and appeared to suffer a seizure, police say. And there's surveillance cameras of a video of them removing Wilson from the vehicle and bringing him into the hospital, according to police arrest, a warrant and affidavit reviewed by the Associated Press. He died, Caleb Wilson died as a direct result of hazing. Okay? For 1 minute, I want you guys to understand. This is why I've always had a bug or a situation dealing with the fraternities, because I don't see what they bring to our community. This is just something that opens back up. It opens up another door to say, okay, what do these fraternities do within our communities that make a difference? Yeah, you graduate some. This was this young man was majoring in engineering. He would have done great things as an engineer. But what are you doing back? How many of them put back into the community? Okay. Now, if you're in a fraternity or sorority and you're doing something great, I'm talking about the organization. Many of you choose to hide to say, well, I go read books to one person. You're one person. If I'm in an organization, then the organization needs to get busy. I always say, here's the difference. When white people have organizations, they build. The money goes with, throughout their community in their businesses. Asian people, when they go take over and buy resorts, they bring Asian people over. They employ Asians. They share in the wealth. When black people get in powers of position, they become gatekeepers. They're not doing anything for the community. I don't want to hear anybody justify ever to me about hazing. Right now, this young man will not, I repeat, will not raise his children, his future children. He will not be married. He won't see his parents ever again. He won't see his loved ones. So I'm going to say this again to the young man that punched him in his chest, hit him 4 times. What amount of pressure were you hitting him with to send him into seizures, for him to die? Why would you be hitting him that hard? What organization is worth you getting beat? What organization is worth you getting beat to death to be a part of it? I'm going to say not one. And to many of you, and I know some who are within these organizations, yeah, I said it. These organizations are there strictly for gatekeeping. You guys are so proud. You're stumping, you're howling like dogs, you're throwing this up, you're jumping with the canes, you're skewy, all that, and it's done. It does what for the community? Y'all might as well be sexy red. Y'all might as well be sexy red with degrees. We have a crisis in the black community, and now I have to stop and talk about, with all that's going on in the black community, I have to stop and talk about what is being done to our young people who are going to school to get an education, and that parent just lost their child. Imagine that phone call. You getting that phone call. What happened to my child? And they tried to hide it. Now, for them to have it, whether it was off campus, the school knows about it, and the fraternity knows about it. So I don't want to hear we didn't know that was going on. We had no idea what was going on. We had no idea. You guys know. Smith, he held the title of Dean of Pledges, was in charge of the rituals doing the hazing. See that word, rituals? See, you can get into some satanic stuff when you start talking about rituals. Okay? And so now everybody's trying to clear their name. Smith, who turned himself in, his lawyer said it is important to note that Smith is not accused of making physical contact with Wilson and that no one was aware of any underlying medical conditions that he may have had. How about the blows to the chest? You hit somebody 4 times in the chest, you could kill them. I don't care about you not being there, having any physical contact. You were involved. So if you're going to have a ritual, hey, I want you to go out and all the pledges, let me see who can go raise $5,000 for an organization, a charitable thing. Let me see who can do the most push-ups. See, I've heard the stories about the paddling and all the disgraceful stuff they make you do. That's why I've never been a part. If I got to do all that to be in any organization, then I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm not doing anything despicable or degrading or degenerate to be a part of a brotherhood. That's not a brotherhood. If I want to see your loyalty or your commitment to this organization, what do you bring to the table? How can you help us as an organization? What are your goals in life? See, that word rituals, I'm telling everybody, when you get into rituals, you're getting into some satanic things. You are. Most people people don't want to hear it. You're getting into something satanic. For me to hit somebody in the chest 4 times, to be in an organization, I'm not going to hit that man in the chest. I'm not going to slap him. I'm not going to put my hands on that man. That just never made sense to me, and I'm not going to let you put your hands on me. So here we are. God rest his soul. Caleb Wilson is now dead due to a fraternity hazing, and I think 3 people, if I'm not mistaken, have been arrested, and they need to be prosecuted, along with the organization needs to be held accountable, the fraternity, and all these fraternities need to be told one last time, no more pledging through hazing, okay? And if it's ever done again, you shut the organizations down. End of story. I don't care who likes it. Again, I know a bunch of people in these organizations, and it's just, hey, man, don't make this personal, because I really know the real history, so I could really go in about this. So go back to your organizations and say, hey, what can we do to help our Black community? Shout out to Boosie also. Boosie has a concert series that he does every year in New Orleans, and he's doing a scholarship in the young man's name, if I'm not mistaken. So shout out to Boosie. See, this is what you guys should be doing. You should be doing hazing. Say, hey, we're going to take each group we bring in, and this group, you're going to be responsible for raising money to help give a scholarship to 4 or 5 people, and we'll match what you guys go out and raise. Do things like that. Nobody's going to die from that. Hey, I was out selling cookies for my sorority and my fraternity, and I slipped up and hit my head and died with the cookies on top of me. No. How many times do we hear about the Girl Scouts coming up hurt from selling cookies? We don't hear about it. So again, my condolences to the young man, Caleb Wilson, and his family. And this all happened at Southern University. And I'm hoping Southern will do the right thing and make sure that this is not turned into a mockery, and the fraternity involved not make this turn into a mockery for the family, to say I didn't have any contact with him, but you were part of what had him killed, which was the hazing, okay? That's hard to start off with. That is hard to start off with, okay? We're going to take a break right here, and we'll be right back, okay?
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
It's what we were taught, trained, and told to do.
It could be for anything. Helping a friend move.
Listening to a fellow veteran for hours, at any hour of the day.
Or just simply making time for people. A neighbor, a loved one, or even a stranger.
We're often the first to help others. There's no question about it.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
Perhaps it's time to do for yourself what you would do for others.
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Okay, we're back. That takes a lot out of you just to have that conversation. I want to talk about, we just had a shooting in Memphis. Sauce Walker, Texas rapper, came to Memphis for his artist Say So P, and they were, I think there was another gentleman with him, but Say So P was killed. He was shot down in Memphis downtown in broad daylight. Sauce Walker was wounded, and another man I think was in critical condition. Got to get my words right. I want to say this to Say So P, these young artists, these rap artists in Memphis. Enough is enough. Whatever happened to we can talk about something, or if you're gonna put up your dukes, go get some boxing gloves and do it that way. Because once you take that life, I'm going to say this to all you rappers, all you street guys out there who are doing what you're doing. When you're on demon time, don't forget the devil comes to collect the souls. Okay? The devil always comes to collect the soul when you're on demon time. So Say So P is now deceased. For what? Over a rumor, over somebody said he did this, somebody said he did that. He's dead and not coming back. And for what? This is another senseless killing in Memphis. And it kind of took me back to Young Dolph. Young Dolph is dead for what? Yo Gotti's brother is dead for what? Now this young man, Say So P, is dead for what? All you did was create more violence in this community, and you put out more violent energy. So I'm saying to the city of Memphis and the community, we're going to have to come together to educate our youth. We need programs for these young men. We need an outlet for them other than grabbing a gun to go kill somebody. We need another outlet other than them killing each other. Just think about that. You jump in a car and you ride in downtown Memphis in broad daylight to kill this young man because I guess there are no consequences. Nobody's afraid to go to jail, especially in Memphis. I saw a guy on TV and he was like, Memphis, they were showing he was being arrested and he was like, okay, just give me my bail and I'm gone. He wasn't worried about going to jail. Well, why am I worried about that? Yeah, I killed somebody and I'm out on the streets. This is Memphis. My prayers go out to the young man and his family and everybody who was involved. But the crime has to stop. The killing has to stop, okay? To you rappers, nobody has to die. And I'm going to say this again. When you out there on demon time, guess what? The devil always comes to collect, okay? When you're out there living on demon time, the devil always comes to collect. I want to talk about this right quick. I made a comment about the young man on the podcast, No Fugazi. Shout out to the young brother who does the show. And this is what a podcast is. If you disagree with me, you disagree. That's what it's about. I'm not always correct. That's why I tell people if I say something wrong, 257-9317, area code 901. Call me and let me know what you felt I said that was out of order and what's the solution. Just don't be upset for no reason. I disagree with him saying that as a man, he does not have to tell his woman where he goes. He's like, I'm in charge. I do what I want to do when I want to do it. I don't report to you. I am your leader. So by me saying, hey, I think, no, he's out of order. Don't listen to this. This is me with 57 years of experience in life. Bunch of disagreements. I'm being called all kind of simps and beta males. But one guy just took it to a whole nother level. And it got down to him being disrespectful of me and saying something about my mother. And I'm going to say this to a lot of these young men. This is why you guys are winding up leaving here early. Because we can have an agreement as men. We can have an agreement as men. And I don't have to call you out your name. You can disagree with me. But because I said being accountable to your woman, that's a part of being a leader. I'm a simp. I'm a sucker. F me, my mama. This is why so many of our young men, you can't build a strong family. You know why? Because you're not a strong man. I don't have to say I'm an alpha male. People who know me know that. People who've been around me know that. I'm a leader by definition. That's with the highs and the lows. I can own up, hey, I did something the wrong way. Hey, I was out of order. But what this young man said, it just triggered me to sit down and say, man, if I really wanted to get on that demon time like we see every day in the news, then one of us will come up hurt. So if he sees this video, I want you to think about what you say before you say it, because where I will walk away, you're running to another demon, and that demon is going to want to give the devil his soul. So, everybody listening to these podcasts, hey, man, this is all opinionated to a certain degree. When you're speaking facts, I don't argue with you. But when you say as a man, I don't have to report to my wife or let her know my whereabouts, I got to disagree with you. That's poor leadership. You're not going to build a strong foundation, a strong family, etc. But I'm not going to call you out your name. I don't have to do that. So to the young man, I'm not going to say his name who did that. I'm praying for your generation to make it, because these young ladies who are already struggling with their feminist movement, to be you, and you feeling like I don't have to do nothing for her. I don't have to report anything to her. She's got insecurities. No, you have insecurities. You don't understand what leadership really is. And I'll leave it at that. I had to get it off my chest. Also, there was a study published by JAMA Network that I found, and I'd heard this before, and I spoke to some people back about it a couple of years ago. They said Black individuals in countries with a higher representation of Black primary care physicians experience a longer life expectancy, with a 10% increase in Black representation associated with an increase of 30.6 days in life expectancy. Now, I don't know if they're just flat out saying, hey, if you got a white doctor, he's going to kill you. I just found that I had heard that before, how Black women say, or there was a doctor saying that Black women, and I can't think of her name, but she was saying Black women act like babies when they're having a baby. They're in so much pain. They can take the pain. See, there's history here when they experimented on us. Western medicine was built on Black suffering. This country was built on Black suffering. So that's not odd to say they did a study and found out that, hey, if you're Black, you probably need a Black primary care physician. Because that white doctor, there are white doctors who alleged that they treated Black people for cancer who did not even have cancer, okay? Did not even have cancer. I just wanted to run that by you people, so do your research. Now, let's talk about Dr. Umar and his daughter, his bad seed. Dr. Umar obviously is not in her life. He's the King Kong of consciousness. Dr. Umar. He is the King Kong of consciousness. Now he has his daughter, who is the Glorilla of consciousness, saying, I'm not out here for likes. Yet she goes on the page and said, hey, you want me to come on your show? You're going to pay me. I'm starting off at $3,500 to $5,000 to this to that. Yeah, that's his daughter. Dr. Umar is alleged that he's just been dropping off babies. See, I always say this. If you're a man speaking about marriage, and I kind of looked at Kevin Samuels this way, had great advice. But to give advice about marriage or relationships, you should be in one. You should be in a productive relationship. I never will forget, I think Juanita Bynum, allegedly her and her husband were doing marriage counseling and charging people, and they were getting paid some good money, getting a good bag, yet they were separated. Instead of coming to the therapy sessions with at the seminar saying, hey, right now we're going through something in our marriage. It was kept a secret until they got into a fight. The husband allegedly came out and said, this is what was going on. That's my problem. Many people preaching to you in church, are you living that life? So if I'm going to be in a leadership position, then I need to be living what? That life. A majority of these people that you're following out here, they're not married or they're not in a healthy relationship. They're not living the lifestyle that they preach about. That's a problem. Okay? But his daughter, I feel bad for her because there's some issues. There's some daddy issues. But Dr. Umar himself is on, I stopped listening to Umar just a long time ago. I couldn't trust what he says. A very intelligent guy. Very intelligent, but I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon with Umar and his daughter. I just wanted to say again, I hope you, Dr. Umar, sit down with your daughter and you guys have a conversation and you get this resolved, okay? Now, let me say this. Freaknik supposedly coming to Memphis. As I said, it is the worst idea in the world. But what are we talking about? What city are we talking about? Memphis, okay? We are talking about Memphis. It was canceled it was supposed to be at if I'm not mistaken, the Martin Luther King Park on Riverside for April the 19th. And it was canceled and the permit money or whatever money was thrown out was given back. It should have never been taken. Who's sitting there saying, hey, I know what we can do for Memphis with all the crime we got going on, with all the poverty, with inflation, with a horrible mayor. I know what we can bring to Memphis. A horrible school board. The police department is not doing anything. I know what would be a good thing for Memphis. What? A Freaknik. Booties shaking everywhere. Somebody sitting in the room who took the money. Oh, you know what? I was thinking that show would be nice. Some naked booties, some loud, ratchet music would be good. Hey, somebody get Glorilla and Sexy Red on the phone. This is Memphis in a nutshell. No disrespect to Sexy Red and Glorilla. Y'all are artists. I just used the example. Okay, no disrespect to you two sisters, but that is a problem that the city of Memphis cannot get it right. Paul Young, you got so many things that you're gonna have to get right, but I can assure you, you are a one-time mayor. You have done nothing for this city. So on your watch for that to be mentioned, you should have ran to the podium and said, no way. He was just at a city hall, I think a town hall meeting in Memphis. Oh, they killed him because he's cut a side deal with Elon Musk. Our mayor's done nothing for the city. And I want to go on record as saying, I told people when he was chosen, he could not live up to the job. He is not a leader. He's a guy you just see in the room. Okay? So sometimes guys like that need to stay in that role. You're not an alpha. You're not a guy that leads.